Hello and welcome to Autocar Dialogues, a series of panel discussions around our Autocar Awards presented every year by RGI and in partnership with Times Network. Now, every year we talk to a lot of the automotive industry and suppliers around this industry through the year. But now we shift focus to those people who have their pulse on the market. These people are the consumer-facing people, the dealers. And I have with me here today Mr. Sanjeev Narain, who's CMD Ahom Motors. We have with us Mr. Satyajit Uday Lokhande, Director, Trendy Wheels Private Limited. And we have Mr. Vishal Barbate, Managing Director, Arya Cars, with us on this panel. Thank you for being with us today, gentlemen. And we are going to discuss the resurgence of the automotive industry. So, has this year really been a happier year than the last few, and are automotive dealers out of the woods?
Yeah, I think this year so far has been, fantastic and fabulous year for all the OEM as well as dealers. But at the same time, we need to look at the base which was unaffected, pre-COVID base I'm talking about, which is certainly, I think 18-19 was the year which was unaffected. That time our industry was somewhere 34 lakh cars, and this year likely we are ready to hit 38 lakhs. So if you see the transition of last 3 years, the growth is not that satisfying. But of course, if you compare with last year, so the growth is almost 24-25%. So anyway, but we are happy because finally we are looking at a better future and a stability post-COVID.
Is that in the high-end car segment as well? Do you see that resurgence? I mean, high-end cars, the waiting lists seem to be endless. So.
Yes, of course, it's in the top-end cars also. There's been a growth of 70%, 69% actually to be exact. So that's a whooping number, 69% growth. But at the same time, if pre-COVID, we go back to pre-COVID, as he was saying, if we go back to pre-COVID times, so we're still lagging behind the 2018 mark. We're very near to it. But, right now what we are doing is we are comparing it with that. It's no point comparing it with the previous 1920 or 2021, because that was COVID period time. So we are almost there. I can say that we are almost there. And the market is really looking very good. And we think, from here, it's only going to go forward. We are not looking behind from here.
I think I'm happy to hear these words because, last 2 years it's been all gloom and doom and, everybody's been a little low on energy. What do you think has brought about this change in the consumer mindset? Is there more accessible income? Because taxes or nothing has changed. Prices are still going up of cars. So why are consumers rushing to the showrooms?
Well, I guess our products have improved. Like you look at the automotive industry as a whole, we have a much better range of products now. You compare it to the products that were being, for the time they were good, but then now we really have world-class products. Like you are looking at, semi-automatic or, the self-autonomous driving vehicles. Then you see the top-notch features in all the vehicles that are out there. So customers have aspired for these things for a long time. And I think that is what is bringing them back to the showrooms and, having to want a vehicle, having all those features.
And spend their income
and spend it on as well. I mean, they're willing to pay that premium only because the products are good. I mean, if there wasn't a value in it, I don't think the market would have been so high.
So I'd like to add on in this, and of course, the aspiration and desires, that was always there. But pre-COVID period, people used to keep that in the back burner, or they used to try to save it. Okay, we will buy it later on. What COVID has taught is, the aspirations and desires, the fulfillment of aspirations and desires. I feel now people think, that you don't know what a COVID might come and what it might do. So if you have that aspiration, if you have that desire, let's fulfill it right now, immediately. So the younger generations are coming out now, and people who have money, they have started buying like anything. The top-end vehicles, the age where people used to buy top-end vehicles was around 40s, 50s at one point of time, which has come down to the 30s now. So that is a very good sign for the country also. The younger generation is coming out, they are earning, their market is good, business is good, economy is getting better and better every day. And as I told you, they don't want to keep anything behind now. What COVID has taught, whatever you have, enjoy it right now. So maybe that is one reason, what I strongly believe, why, this market has bounced back in such a manner in this year.
It's interesting to know that younger generation is now, also...
Right, right. In fact, I personally feel like nowadays more than, I think a car is more than necessity, it's a status symbol now. Because, buying or possessing a car, it makes everyone feel, something like inner, that proud feeling comes from the heart. And the earlier I remember there was a say that roti, kapda or makan, but I think car has moved to a slot wherein it is
Gaadi bhi aa gayi hai.
yeah, our top three desire, it would certainly include a car in it.
That's interesting to know. And you pointed out that the younger generation, because at just pre-COVID, I think there was such a slump in the market. There was this fear that shared mobility is taking over. People are not coming out to buy cars, and especially the younger generation, So I'm glad to know that that is a big change. And do you see that all across the spectrum, or is it more so in the high-end cars?
So I think it's in most segments this would hold true. I mean, the younger generations, the average buyers, if you do a customer analysis of our own customers, there are new segments that we've touched. Like the average buyer once used to be like about 45.
Correct.
Now it's come down to like 35. So, that is what my friend here is trying to address. And that is a fact. More so, I would like to add on that is that there's a new segment of women drivers who have been introduced to the market, right? Yeah. So working professionals, working women, female workforce in India has increased substantially. Yeah. So these women also have the financial capability now to purchase vehicles, and they are the ones who are buying these vehicles. We have seen a lot of increase in numbers for female drivers and buyers as well. So that's one thing that has added to the sales, I suppose.
That's really interesting to know. So there are different changing trends now.
Yes, yes. And I like to add on his thing, that women, I believe in the luxury segment, in the last year, the percentage was about 14-15%. Women have bought the vehicles,
Wow, that's interesting.
So that's a very interesting figure that has come out here. That's a large
Earlier
number.
also, I think women were the motivator to buy a car.
They were behind the scenes. Now they're coming
They are in a front driving seat.
They're in the front line. Okay, they're buying it on their own.
I love it. I love more women in the driving seat, the better that it is. But do you think this will sustain? This that spike that we're seeing just now, do you think it will sustain?
Yeah.
Or do you think that it's going to flatten in a while?
If you see the penetration over India per 1,000 population, so it is roughly around 30 cars right now, right? So if we compare immediately with a country which is close to our population is China. So they are at 221 numbers. So there is a 8-time gaps. So obviously, we are going to grow only. So might be the pace may become slightly, not so high or sort of moderate, but growth is going to be here. I think no one can stop growth in the Indian market.
Absolutely. We still expect, a double-digit growth this year as well. Market is robust. A lot of infrastructure work is going on. So once you see infrastructure going on in the country, correct, that means development is going on, and then the money comes from there.
And I think it gives the customers the confidence to buy vehicles as well, because they're seeing the infrastructure to use these vehicles as well. Have dealers really now recovered what was the COVID period? Because you had to sustain a lot. There was rentals, there was inventory, a lot of costs that dealers had to bear over a long period of time. Are you past that now, or is it still challenging?
We are almost past now, because I'll tell you, see, it has taught us also a lot of things, how to control cost, where we can control cost, how to reduce inventory, not only car inventory, I'm talking about all the inventory part which is there in our dealerships. So right now I would say, yes, we have passed that phase, and not only passed that phase, but with the whatever we got, learnings from this, we would certainly do better in the coming days.
Yeah, I do agree with this. 2022 has been a disruption-free year for automotive industry, right?
Yes.
Like compared to the last 5 or 6 years. I mean, there have been minor or big disruptions along in the past years. However, this year has absolutely been disruption-free as far as the industry is concerned. Yes, there was a chip shortage, but that also helped us in a way because we are not carrying that much inventory as such, so that helps us with our profitability definitely. And the demand is high, so we are not really. I think the bigger year would be this coming year. Looking at the kind of bookings we've had, like I think most dealers for all the brands would be carrying bookings for about 2 to 3 months minimum. So, which is a very healthy position to be in for any business. Like if you have an advance booked
for
business.
the businesses. What about the poor consumers who have these long waiting periods that they have to face? How do you face that? How do you retain a consumer? Because there's so much choice in the market. How do you retain that customer and say, I've got a 7-month waiting list on this car, or sometimes I think on some luxury cars like on Range Rovers, it's 1 year, 7 months. And that's a high-end customer who's not ready to wait. So how do you handle these customers?
See, it's not very easy to handle these customers, let me be very frank. But the brands are so strong. Let me put it like this, since I work for Mercedes, the Mercedes brand is so strong, people dream about owning a Mercedes. It's like that. So when they come and, they know that they have to wait, they agree to it, that they will wait. But as I told you, that is their desire, that they aspire for, to have a Mercedes. Hence they, wait. But yes, the shortage and all were there. But now things have improved. We have got higher allocations. So the waiting period for high-end cars like GLS Maybach, or this was more than a year earlier. Now it's come down to 6 months. Now more allocations have come.
Better.
So the world is looking towards India now. Oh, there's so much of demand in this country. So they have started sending it. And this year, as we all know, the luxury market grew by massive numbers, And Mercedes, right from the inception, this was the best year for them.
I think TEVs all across the board are doing top-end vehicles.
And sitting on such a huge order bank, that is something again, which can give us signs of what is going to happen in the current year. Because we all are sitting in such huge order banks, and it's as he said, it's a nice position to be in, sitting on order banks.
Yeah, you have Mahindra as well, and they've launched products, and I think every product has been a mega hit. Yes. So long waiting periods. In that segment, there's a lot more competition,
Yes. So yeah, I mean, competition in this case, I think somehow helps. Because you go next door, you go to your competitive dealer, there's going to be some waiting there as well. Mm-hmm. So the customer perception is such that if I'm getting a better product, I'd rather wait a couple of more months. Okay. So there is that, like I agree with what he said, that if a customer wants a certain product, he's willing to wait for it. And a lot of it has to do with the kind of clarity that we give the customer and the assurance. Like at our end, we communicate all the dates well in advance or at the time of the booking, and how many weeks he's going to have to wait. And at the same time, the same assurance is being given by the OEMs directly to the customer via mails or SMSs that, so-and-so is your delivery date. So the customer is assured, okay, even though it's 7 months, I know I'll get it in 7 months. Even in that case with Mahindra, I mean, with almost 3 to 4 products having a waiting time of averagely 6 months to a year and a half, I think most of the customers, they do wait. But then, yes, there are certain cases where we try to help out. Like, if there's an absolute urgency, or, if
big
there's
event in the family.
Big event in the family, we try to do our bit. Like, if there are any cancellations or between other dealers or in tandem with the company, if we can make certain exceptions and try to bring something or try to, cater to the customer. Like, keeping the customer at the center, I don't think handling bookings will be such a big challenge going forward. Yeah.
And do you think it's improving, the situation, the pipeline is improving? Like he did say that they're getting more allocations.
Yes, definitely.
Is this pipeline improving? Are waiting lists coming down now?
Yes, definitely. I mean, yeah, with a new launch, it's the first 3 to 4 months, the waiting times are like sky high. Mm-hmm. But then after the 6 months and once the product sets in, even the OEMs get a confidence of supply. So, right, they are keeping on pushing the supplies now. Like, we are getting a lot of good supplies in all the high-end, the top-end products that we sell. So, yeah, our waiting times are coming down, definitely. And the bookings are going up. I mean, consequently, it's not the fact that because of waiting times, we would assume that the bookings would go down. But for some of the products, after 6 months, the bookings actually go up, even with the same waiting time, because the customer has an assurity that, okay, even if the OEM saying about a year, we might get it sooner. So with that hope, there are a lot of bookings still happening. So yeah.
Has it also reduced that pressure of discounting? You know, because when there is lack of demand, everybody wants to sell their cars.
I would just like to interrupt you over here. Like the last question what you had asked, see, that waiting, that was a new subject for the country. But when this COVID came, now we came to know about this semiconductor chip and all this demand and all. I mean, I was not aware that so many semiconductor chips are required to make a small cars also. Yeah. So we kept telling the same thing to our customers for 2 years, consecutive 2.5 years. So nowadays, if you ask anyone, so from younger to elder, he is aware that there is a waiting period for a car to buy. Yeah. So mentally, everyone is ready for a waiting period, decent waiting period. Now coming down to your second question. Second question is like waiting. There is a waiting. I mean, in Mahindra and in Merck. But the waiting is not across all the model. So one OEM is having 10 models. So the waiting is on only 2 models. Rest 8 models are available. And that too, further drilling down, that 2 models waiting is also that variant wise. Correct. So the top end variant is on a higher demand. Lower variant is easily available. So it's a complicated issue. So we see it as a waiting throughout, that things are on a waiting, that Lamborghini says that we have stopped taking bookings for 1.5 years now. So this is a broader picture. But when you drill down, you came to know a lot of things, that the waiting, the same model is available with us, but people are preferring the lower variant of that. So there is a mismatch over there, which the third thing which you asked about, discount. So if there is a mismatch, we need to cover it by offering some discounts to customer and by pursuing or pressurizing or say convincing to buy that available car to customer.
Like that. So it's nice for the consumers, I think, to know that discounts are still available in the market, because that's a question that I get so often with long waiting lists. Will I get a discount? So very insightful discussion over here. Lots of things that I discovered too. More women are buying cars. Younger generation are coming out to buy cars, but they are buying, and that's the big news. There's definitely a resurgence in the automotive industry. Thank you for watching Autocar Dialogues.